Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the hearing to order. I'd like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the home and the traditional lands of the Ojibwe, Cree, Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ron Merritt. I'll be your chairperson this morning, introducing the panel members, Mr. Marcel Larondeau, and joining us probably by Zoom will be Diane Knight. Our recording secretary is Belen Rojo, and our assessor this morning is Mr. Wong. We'll be hearing an application for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. Matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application, and we'll limit discussions to those matters. The statements that the applicant and the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking in these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered market value by the Board of Revision. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it, along with the city administration. We make a decision based on the evidence provided at the hearing and issue a written order that would be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision in respect to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to application from exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing this morning, we'll confirm the matters to be addressed with each of the applicants. Following the swearing in, we'll then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the other applicant may have. Then it'll be the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each party will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave, and the process will repeat for each item on the docket this morning. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. I will deal with the people that are going to be on Zoom. So to the Zoom participants at the hearing, excuse me. Okay. You would be placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. Then it'll be your turn and you will be admitted to the meeting. Kindly follow along the city's Board of Revision U-Turn channel for the session hearings. Once the applicant is admitted to the hearing, please close or mute the YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak in respect to the property. Once your hearing is concluded, you can leave the hearing. Okay. We have a docket consisting of seven items, and we'll be hearing those items. We'll ask our secretary to swear in Mr. Wong.
You want me to do the affirmations now?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Kim Wong.
And you affirm the evidence to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
We can swear in Mr. DuPont too, or affirm him.
Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Henry Dupont.
And you affirm the evidence about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, we're waiting for Diane Knight to come on Zoom. So is she there yet? No? All right, we're going to take a short recess, and when she joins us, we'll reconvene. All right, we are live.
We are.
So we'll call the meeting, hearing back to order. So we were going to start at 120 Donald Street. So Mr. Wong, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property.
The subject property is 120 Donald. The roll number is 120-933-70200. It's a residential apartment multi-use property. About 17 stories high, and it's built in 1986. There's 160 suites with 62 indoor parking stalls and 146 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property and its location. On page 4 are some interior photos of the subject property. It appears that some of the units are being upgraded, and while others are waiting to be upgraded. On page 5 is our income valuation summary. I think we'll probably just look at the office portion. You can see there's a class code 60T and a 40S, and the income streams are for the 60T. The potential is 44,000 with using a 12% vacancy. The effective gross income is 38,000 with a $10 shortfall rate and $3,846 shortfall amount with an expense rate of 3% at 1,169. The net operating income is 33,935, capped at 6%. The estimated market value is 566,000. And for the class code 40S portion, the parameters are the same, with the NOI being 21,000 and capped at 6%. The value being 365,000 or 66,000. Page 6 is information on the leasable spaces. For the office portion, we used average rents of about $13 or $14, or approximately $14. On page 8 are the subject's leases. The rents, they range from $7 to $14. I think that's supports the rate that we've applied at about $14, but notice that the Alzheimer's Society in Unit 10 does have a $7 rate. But we believe that the market rates are probably higher than that. On page 9 are comparable leases. Generally, the market rates around the area are about $13 to $18. I believe that supports that the rate that we've applied, the model is applied at $14. On page 11 is information on how we derived our cap rates. Also, information from other organizations. If you look at the chart or in the office section, you can see the cap rates range from 5.5 to 7.75. The cap rate that we've used for the office portion is 6%. So we are within the range of what other organizations say they should be. On page 16. 20 are the income and expense reports, statements from the property owner. On page 22. It's the order from the previous assessment. The Board of Revision set it at just a little bit under $21 million. This is in line with what we have it at currently, which is $21,045,000. The rents that we've used for valuing the office portion and the rest of the apartment is supported by the market, and the cap rates are also supported by the market. So I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $21,045,000.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Mr. DuPont, questions of the assessor?
I guess so. Now, the office, that's the second story, all by itself. Would you say that the location is inferior for this particular office?
Inferior?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Your cap rates on page 11, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so what cap rate do you have for the subject for the office?
6.
And if you look at your chart, your Class A downtown office is 6, B 6.75. So would you say your cap rate is lower than what your own graph would indicate?
It is lower than the downtown B, the same as the downtown A.
Yeah, would you agree that it should be at least a B and possibly higher depending on its own factors?
Potentially. It could be 6 as well.
Then Collier, CBRE, Cushman, the high end for CBRE and Cushman is 7.
Yes.
Now the other one is the restaurant. You don't have restaurant cap rates, and you're, or do you? Oh yeah, you have retail, regional, power, community, neighborhood strip. You don't have restaurant there.
No.
And the rate you had in a restaurant is 5.9%. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's lower than all your cap rates that you have on your page 11. Strip B6 and your regional 6.1, community 7. Why did you give a 5.9%? Is it because you thought it was a chain restaurants?
I'm not sure about the details about why 5.9 was selected, but it does seem to be in line with the market. I mean, it might be slightly lower, but it's like 0.1 lower.
In line with the lowest of the market, but they goes to from 6 to 7 on your own chart. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
That'll be all the questions I have.
Thank you. Snake,
I don't have any questions at this time.
Mr. Rondeau?
No questions at this time.
I just have a couple. Mr. Wong, obviously, the evaluation is done according to the model input.
Yes,
So you have varying rates for all these classifications and, but I guess the apartment building is at 5.15, eh?
yes,
And that's 160 units.
yes.
Any overrides at all that you know of?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Mr. DuPont, we're ready for your presentation.
If you go to my brief, if you go to the first page, you'll see that we don't dispute the apartment. We don't dispute the parking. So we dispute the, well, we don't dispute the retail either. So we dispute the office and the restaurant only. So then I have some photos. The photo on page 4, that's the entrance to the office. It says Alzheimer's, and then it's all by itself on top there, besides the parkade on the one side. So it's not a terribly good entrance or location. It's all by itself there. So we can skip most of the pages now. And we can go to income approach page 12. Well, I guess it starts page 11, but it says we don't dispute the parking. So the then we go to page 12. So the restaurant is Adams Gourmet Company. $16 rent is what we use. And we use a cap rate 6.25 because it's not a chain restaurant. We believe that possibly the assessor was using a chain restaurant cap rate. It's certainly lower than what they had. So the our value comes to 561,000 versus the assessor at 620. So below that, the office was assessed with the allocation for school exempt. And we had obtained information a long time ago from the tenant, and we agree with the allocation for the school tax exempt. So on a percentage basis, the assessor applied a rent of 14.63. There's a contract rent, $7.50 per square foot. Oh, am I reading the right one? Office, yeah. And the actual contract is $7.50, but the bottom of the lease, it says that the rent is discounted by $2 because it's a charity. And I checked recently with Rancho, and they said they renewed the lease at the same rate, $7.50. So they're still paying $7.50 per square foot. And we're using $9.50 for calculations. So our income approach is on page 13. So we use $9.50 per square foot. So it's the actual lease. And we use a non-recoverable expense, 5%, which we dispute for all types of commercial properties. We have a special report that we have filed for this. We can go through that later. And we apply a cap rate 7.5. I believe the assessor is at 6%. So we dispute the rent and the cap rate. So the last page gives us a summary. So the assessment for the office is 932. We're going 452, and then we show the percentage for exempt and taxable. It's the same as the assessor's percentage. No, the non-recoverable report. And I assume the board has seen that a few times already, and I don't know if you want to go through the whole thing, but in essence, the all commercial properties have expenses for leasing commissions, TIs, the audit and legal and advertising, all sorts of expenses that they cannot recover, even with triple net leases. In the past, the city was using 5%, and they stopped using that in 2020. They called it management fee, but they were saying that it was for non-recoverable expenses. So all our cap rates uses at 5% non-recoverable expenses. So we believe that if the cap rates are done with the 5% non-recoverable, we're being consistent, and it's very normal. I would suggest that if you have REITs and all that declare their expenses publicly, they do declare all their leasing commissions, etc., as an expense. And when you buy a property with cap rates, it's all part of the calculation of the cap rate also. So it's a setting expense we should be using. We have given the cap rate reports for retail and office. We have our own cap rate comparables, etc. But I believe the assessor's own evidence shows that they use a lower cap rate than their own data from the market reports and brokers reports. So I believe we don't necessarily have to go through these cap rate reports. So that's my submission.
I thank you. Mr. Wong, questions?
Just at the like the office, even downtown A and B, like the highs from Colliers is about 6.25, 6.75. CBRE, the high cap rates are 6% and 7% for A and B, and the Cushman Wakefield is like 6.25% and 7%. If for this particular case, you're using 7.5%, and why? I guess why is yours? I guess at the very outside the range at what other organizations say that the cap rate should be at 7.5%.
Yeah, so we have basically a 0.5% premium. The brokerage report would be for an office, a Class B office. You see all these offices on Broadway and etc. Then it's a big office, and they have a nice lobby and multiple tenants. This one does not have that. It's a little entrance all by itself, and elevator go up, and it's it's inferior to the Class B properties or Class A that you would have. They're nothing like that. Those are multi-tenant buildings because this subject is all by itself, besides a parkade. I believe that it's inferior, and we do have a 0.5% premium over these broker reports.
That would be all my questions.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, questions of the applicant?
I do not.
Thank you. Mr. Laurando.
So we're looking at the differences on the cap rate and also on that 5% non-recoverable.
Yes.
And you come up with a figure of around 20,500,000, correct?
Oh, the total,
Yeah,
at the end. Yeah, 20,500,000 is just 21 million, yeah, so it's,
just to do a fast calculation, and maybe I'll have to do it up. But the city's at 2145.
right.
You got your, if you take your 5% capital off of that non-recoverable puts you down around 20 million, does it not? So where am I? Have you got something that's higher in your numbers?
I'm not sure if the question you're saying there's a mistake in our reports or,
Well, you're saying you want the 5% of basically, if you were to take 5% off of the city's 21,045,000, right?
but no, I didn't
Try to
say
get
that.
it recoverable.
No, it's 5% fee on each of the income approaches for office and,
Yeah,
a restaurant. I'm not saying it's 5% less than their total value.
well, you are and you're not. Because you're taking that 5% off on everything, are you not?
You're talking about the 5% non-recoverable
Yeah,
fee, right? So does not apply to apartments, does not apply to parking. A retail, it would apply to retail, but we don't dispute it. So the 5% is for their office at 932, the restaurant 620, and we're at 452 for the office and 561 for the restaurant.
and
So
what's the city on for the rent for the restaurant? They're at,
$16.
you're at 16 and you're at 14, correct, Henry?
Or actually, sorry. Yeah, we're at 16 and Henry's at 16.
Okay. And then how about the Alzheimer's? And that's just a small office, is it not?
yeah, about 5,150 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
you're-
so the restaurant, we dispute the non-recoverable, not the rent and the cap rate.
Okay,
Because the cap rate said is 5.9, which is lower than all the brokers report, so that our cap rate 6.25 is actually on a bit on the low side. We should probably go higher than that, but so it's dispute cap rate shortfall, no, non-recoverable on that one, and Alzheimer's dispute cap rate, rent, and non-recoverable.
good, thank you. On to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Summation, Mr. Dupont,
No,
Mr. Wong, summation,
Thank you.
if you wish.
No, thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to 170 Hargrave Street. Mr. Wong, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm just writing something down, sorry.
Dan,
Just give me a
you,
minute to get that open.
yeah, you okay, Diane?
She's
Just-
just opened
Just
it.
give me a second to get it. It's not open yet. Hang on.
Okay,
It's just opening. Like I said, sorry, it's just I got.
that's okay. Hello.
Out here.
Just tell us when you're ready, Diane.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good to go.
All right, Mr. Wong.
Okay, the subject property is 170 Hargrave. The roll number is 120-934-33300. It's a residential apartment multi-use building. It's 26 stories high and it's built in 1972. It has 264 suites with no outdoor or indoor parking. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. On page 4 are some interior pictures. Appears that they are doing some gradual work to update the building, update the units. On page 5 is our income valuation summary. For the apartment, we have average rents of $965 to get a potential income of $3,058,000. We use a 4.7% vacancy to get a net operating income of $2,914,000. And we use a 56% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $1,276,000. Capped at 5.7%, we have an estimated market value of $23 million. $22,397,000. We also have a retail and an office income stream with values that coming in at $604,000 for the retail and $160,000 for the office. On page 6 is information on the apartments and the leasable areas. It's 1,155 square feet of office space and 4,086 square feet of retail space. On page 7 are some rent comparables, showing that the rents we've used are in line with what's on the market. The market rents might be a little bit higher. On page 8 are some comparable leases. The rates ranging from $10 to $14.50. That supports the rates that we've used for the model, which is approximately $12 or $12.50. Page 9 is information on how we derived our cap rates. The majority of our apartment cap rates fall between 4.8 and 5.6%. On page 10 are some cap rate sales. Range from 3.6 to 5.74%. On page 11, some cap rate information from Altus, indicating that the cap rate in 2017 is 4.5% and in 2020 is 4.3%. And on page 12 is information, Altus information indicating that the cap rate in 2017 is 4.5% for Winnipeg. The remainder of my brief is the income and expenses supplied by the owner. When you look at the model rents and the model cap rates, they are supported by the market. And I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $23,161,000.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dupont, questions?
Yes, I guess your cap rate evidence, page 10. So these are the apartment cap rates that you have there?
Some, yes.
Oh, so is there some commercials in there?
No.
Okay. Some 100 St. Mary's, very low cap rate, 2.6%. Did you know why it's that low?
That's what we calculated based off of the sale price and the income and expense information we had.
Do you know what kind of repair and maintenance it was showing? High, low?
I don't know.
Do you know if it was in good condition, bad condition?
I actually don't know those details about that property.
So you don't know about the questionnaire to be filled out for the sales as to whether they bought with intention to renovate? You don't know that?
I don't know.
So you have no workup on any of those, or you don't even know how it was done. Is that correct?
My colleague stabilized the income and expenses and applied them against the sale prices for these properties.
Okay, that's all questions I have on that. Now the page you referred to Altus cap rates,
11 and
page
12.
12. Well, the 11 is the national market trends, so that would not apply. And the other one is it ends at 2017, so therefore you don't have anything for 2021 evaluation date. Is that correct?
Yeah, that one ends at 2017. I don't have anything more recent, but in the page 11, the national trends cap rate was also 4.5% in 2017. So I think it's.
So this graph would have been for the previous assessment, will be applicable for a 2020 assessment. Is that correct?
I'm saying that it was up to 2017, but the national trends one, which has the same cap rate in 2017 at 4.5%, the national trends one is at 4.3% in 2020. So it seems like the cap rates are trending downward a bit.
Now, would you agree that the assessment department settled the 2020 cap rates at the municipal board for all the apartment types, and they were much higher than 4.5%?
I'm not sure if we really want to be talking about negotiations, previous negotiations in a hearing. I'm not sure.
No, we've always shown the settled cap rates from the previous cycle. So I'm just saying the assessment department has agreed that they were not accepting the 4.5% from this the valuation side, the appraisal side for Altus, that you did settle for much higher cap rates. That would be all the questions I have on this. Now, also, would you agree that on the apartments, it's a model revenue and expense, and you have not done anything site specific in that regards? You can approach that.
It is the model.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Ms. Knight?
I have no questions of the city, no.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rondo?
I gotta go back to the top. What the I'll just be a second. The 60T, what is that part of it?
That's the retail and the office portion of it.
That's retail. Okay. The rest is residential. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, you've got a cap rate evidence in here,
Yes.
and but the subject property has got, just on the apartment side, it's got 264 units.
Yes.
So I look at your study here, and the closest one is consists of 140 units. So do you think that this year's study is applicable to the subject property?
Yeah, I think it is applicable. Like sometimes to try to get an exact apartment building that's sold and then try to derive a cap rate from that sale to apply to every property in Winnipeg, that's probably going to be impossible. But we can utilize sales and cap rates of properties that are similar. And so when you look at the 140 units, like I consider buildings that are 60 units to 250 units kind of I consider them similar. And there's a couple sales with like you were indicating the property that had 140 units. I consider that similar.
So tell me why there's a difference from the previous property we just talked about, 120 Donald Street. And if you look at the apartments, the cap rate is 5.15. So, and you're using for this one here, a higher cap rate. Now, is that because of the age or what?
The property is older. I'm not sure exactly what the difference is between those two, but say with regards to the 5.7%, it seems like it's pretty well supported considering it seems like the indicated cap rates are maybe a little bit lower, but yeah.
All right, I thank you. Mr. DuPont, your presentation.
So now I have to find it.
And so does Diane.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Okay, Mr. DuPont, whenever you're ready.
Oh, I have it somewhere. I'm sure I do.
I've got it.
Oh, okay. Guess I have to open it. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, too many files open. So page one shows that we don't dispute the commercial. So we're disputing the apartment only. We have a small disagreement on cap rate, and the rest is the revenue and expense. So that you can scroll down to the photos, etc., until we get to the cap rate, page 8. The city uses 5.7, we use 5.75, so there's very little disagreement. So we show what kind of cap rates we have. And then we have the site-specific factors. The subject suite mix shows at the beginning the 120 bachelors and 121 bedrooms. So it has a very high amount of bachelors and one bedroom. The superior type or 2 or 3 bedrooms, and there's only 24 2 bedrooms. So I have yeah, has a poor suite mix. So back to page 8 is that the age we would normally give 5.5% for this age. Parking we should be adding for parking because the parking is another property on York. Suite mix, poor suite mix. Supply demands are competing with new apartments downtown, so we go 5.75. So then the next page, page 9, is the income approach itself. So line 13, we are 2,914,000, which is basically the same as the assessor. No dispute there. The line 5, the actual vacancy is 5.8% for 2020. We stabilized at 4.7, same as the assessor. So that the fairly reasonable in the way we arrive at the effective gross income. It's same as the assessor, and we stabilize every expense, and it's pretty much the defaults pretty much as usual. Actual insurance for that year and the actual utilities for that year. Some expenses like professional fees in office, we use the average 3 years. In the main one that could be subjective to repair maintenance, line 27. It shows we stabilized 1585. And then the next page, we have the breakdown of repair maintenance. So you see it on top, we have the items in red. These are items that we disallow, the exterior repairs, roof, some other CapEx. We also remove waste and snow because we put that in its own category. Then to stabilize, we have the notes. So that for windows and doors, we stabilize the average except 2019, and the pools, we stabilize the average except 2018, 2019. And if you go down to plumbing had a very high year in 2020. So we exclude that year. So it's the average excluded that year. And the same thing for fire and safety, that had a high year in 2016. We stabilize the average except the high year. So we stabilize at 1585. So after our full analysis of repair and maintenance, allowing for non-recurring unusual items. So back to the previous page, we apply a cap rate 5.75, get a value of 20,754 versus the assessor of 22,396. Cap rate, very little dispute, the effective gross income. So it's all basically in the expenses, and we do it on a site-specific basis. So that's our evaluation. That's my report.
I thank you, sir. Mr. Wong, questions?
With regards to your page 8. The age was indicating a cap rate of 5.5%, but you're using a cap rate of 5.75%.
Yes, you're relying for the site-specific factors.
If like based off of, say, maybe the parking, the suite mix, and competing with newer apartments downtown.
Yeah.
But wouldn't the 5.5% cap rate also include that, like the properties that sold to indicate the 5.5% cap rate? Wouldn't it include it? So maybe no adjustment would be necessary.
No, those are factors. So that if you have less than normal parking and a suite mix that's mainly bachelor's 1 bedroom, that's a negative factor. And then if you're downtown, you're competing with the new supply downtown. So these are all site-specific factors not captured in a regular cap rate.
Yeah, but wouldn't like the cap rate sales in your cap rate study, wouldn't they have to compete against new apartments downtown as well?
If they're not downtown, it's not the same thing. So you compete mainly with their own particular areas.
Okay. And with regard to your page 9.
Yes.
I guess you had put in the 2020 or the class code 20 taxes for, I guess, the apartment valuation.
They calculate the taxes for the apartment portion only, yes.
Yeah, okay. Because some of those taxes include the commercial portion.
The actual that the declared 276,000 included commercial. We recalculated for the assessment times the mill rate, just 260.
Okay. Did you make any sort of adjustment for the commercial expenses that might be in your expenses?
The financial statements has a category says commercial expenses, so that we don't include those. So they're separated on the financials. They're triple net leases, so they have very little expenses to the landlord.
Yeah, I was looking at the commercial expenses and there's like $1,000 and it seems like I would think that they might have more than $1,000 worth of expenses for the commercial.
That's what the financial statements indicates. That's our, it says the words commercial expenses. That's, we use there, that's what we use. That's only 4,000 square feet. They're triple net leases. So I don't see anything more to deduct for expenses. So we don't allow those particular expenses.
That's all my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Ms. Knight, questions?
Just to be clear, the 764 part, we're not disputing. You're saying the apartments should be 2,074,000 and the city's saying 22,397,000 with cap rate difference and NOI difference, correct?
Yeah, the cap rate is very small. So it's mainly the NOI
The
and
NOI.
it's mainly in the expenses because we agree to each
Okay.
guy.
I just wanted to clarify with all what was going on. Okay, thank you.
I thank you. Marcel? No questions. I think Diane explored everything. So either party wants summation?
Tim, go first.
What?
Mr.
You
Wong?
you can go first.
Summation, Mr. Wong?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. We'll go on to 163 Hargrave Street.
I'm just opening that now.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry?
will. Just let us know when you're ready.
Yeah.
I will be able to go through the details.
Yeah,
What's that?
I will be able to go through the details. of the document.
okay, I'm good.
All right. Mr. Wong, the floor is yours.
The subject property is 160 Hargrave. It's a resident. The roll number is 120-934-34300. It's a residential apartment multi-use property. It's 26 stories high and was built in 1973. There's 246 suites with 74 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. On page 4 are some pictures of the units. It appears that the units are being renovated or upgraded gradually. This might lead to slightly higher expenses than what it would normally experience if it wasn't experiencing upgrades. But on page 5 is our income valuation summary. We use average rents of $1,064 to get a potential income of $3,141,000. We used a 4.7% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $2,993,000, and we used a 51% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $1,450,000. Capped at 5.7%, we have an estimated market value of $25,446,000 for the apartment and $557,000 for the retail. On page 6 is information on the apartment and the lease areas. There's approximately 3,088 square feet in lease area. The model rates are $11 to $17. On page 7 are some rent comparables showing that the rents we've used are in line with what's on the market. On page 8 are some comparable leases. Shows that the rates that we've applied are in line with what's on the market. On page 9 is information on how we derived our cap rates. Page 10 are some cap rate sales. Page 11 and 12 is some cap rate information, some Altus cap rate information. On page 14 is the income statement supplied by the owner. On page 16, it is indicating some hotel suites. So it appears that some of the units are being used as hotels, but on page 17, it seems strange that it's operating at a $400 to $5,000 loss. So this one is this property, I guess, isn't your typical apartment, but I think our valuation treating it as a typical apartment is reasonable.
Thank you, Mr. Wong.
Sorry, I guess on my last page, on page 27, is the previous board decision at 25,600,000, which is in line with what we currently have it at 26,003,000. It appears that there are some renovations and upgrades happening with this property, and it seems like it's being done gradually. So I think that the expenses that are represented probably are a little bit higher than they would be if they weren't doing the upgrades. I think we should treat this as a regular apartment building, and the model rents that we've used are supported by the market, and the cap rates are also supported by the market. So I ask that you maintain the assessed value at 26,003,000.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Mr. Dupont.
Yes, you show the financial statements, page 16, where it says hotel suites. Would you agree that there's just a term that it's basically furnished suites? It's not a hotel.
I'm actually not really. I'm not totally sure. I just sort of took it at what it says in terms of it being a hotel suite. And you're saying it's furnished?
They're just furnished, and you'll see that they had $1,200,000 in income, but $918,000 in vacancy, really high vacancy. So they make more money because they rent furnished suites, but they often have a lot of vacancy for those suites. So now we disagree on the commercial area, so that your page 6, you show 3 tenants there.
Yes.
As one is 1488 square feet.
Yes.
We believe that's a leasing office used for the residential. Do you have any details on that 1488? Do you know where business tax goes to, who the tenant is? Do you know anything like that? You know, if it has a contract rent?
I do not know.
The financial statements, do you show anything?
Yeah, I was just checking to see if there was any sort of a rent roll for the commercial, but like as far as I know, it is correct. But sometimes leasing space changes, and we don't have it up to date. But as far as I know, it is correct.
But you don't know if there's an actual tenant in there,
I don't know.
or it could be just the owner. And you don't have access to the business tax where you are?
No.
No. Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Ms. Knight,
No questions.
Mr. Rondo.
No questions.
Mr. Wong, just a couple questions. You talked about the this subject property, some renos. Were building permits taken out at all or anything like that? You know of?
I don't know. I would have to look it up, and it might take me a little bit of time to do it. I'm not sure if when they do some work slowly that permits are required.
Right. Thank you. Mr. DuPont, the floor is yours.
Okay, so page 1, it shows we have a large dispute on the apartment side from 25 million to 20 million. On the commercial, we're going from 557 that the assessor has to 348, and that would be in the leasing office only. We actually use higher rents in the assessor, same cap rates. So it goes down to the leasing office on that.
Sorry, Henry. What page are we on?
Oh, page 1.
Okay.
I'm just showing you a summary, and then I'm just saying verbally where the case is, etc. We'll get to that later. So so then we can go to the cap rate page, page 8. So there again, the assessor used 5.7. We're using 5.75. So the same factors as 170 Hargrave. They don't have all the parking there. It's mainly bachelor 1 bedrooms, and you have to compete. We get downtown new construction. So we're only 0.05% off on cap rate. So it's not a big thing. Now the next page, the revenue and expense. Top of the page will show the suite mix: 96 bachelors, 96 1 bedroom, 54 2 bedroom. And it shows the rents. The line 1, we stabilize at the actual rent. There's a discount, we stabilize that. At line 3, we stabilize the furnished suites at unfurnished rates. We take the same rates as the other properties for 1 bedroom, 2 or bachelors, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. We apply those rates, and that's how we arrived at. So we treat it as if it was unfurnished. And I believe the assessor would agree with that. We do not allow for the premium for furniture rental. From a long time ago, municipal board, like in the 90s, there was agreement on that. So vacancy, we use the same as the assessor, 4.7, even though the vacancy, actual vacancy is 7.7. So we're kind of conservative there. So our line 13, effective gross income, 2,990,000, just slightly less than what the assessor has. So our big dispute would be in the expenses again. So the expenses, we go pretty much the default, the actuals for insurance, utilities, 3 averages for certain types. Management, always 5%. Taxes, we go with the actual taxes that they have there. Repair maintenance, we stabilize 1584, and that's from the next page also. So page 10. So we disallow the items in red with the extraordinary repair, roof, hot water tanks, other capex. Waste and snow, we also show as a separate expense. And then we show some of the expenses that we stabilized, and we exclude certain years, and we exclude some of the high years for windows and pool. The rest we allow the average, 5-year average. So the we've allowed some high years for painting, plumbing, HVAC, fire and safety. So the 1584 repair maintenance is site specific. and stabilize for a study of the repair maintenance. So back to page 9. Our expenses are 1,800,000 and the assessor 1,543. So that's a big difference there. We show the expense ratio each of the years, line 32. They're actually 63, 68, 61, 77. We stabilize lower than actual, 60%, mainly because we make adjustments to repair maintenance. Now the commercial starts on page 11. Top of the page where we say retail assessor used so and so 1421, that's a typo. That's wrong. So the assessor was using $16, $17 rents, and we the next page. Have to rotate my page. We use contract rents which are a bit higher. So we use $17 and $18 rent, which is about $1 higher so than the assessor. But the leasing office, 1488 square feet, we don't give any rent because that's part of the residential operation. There's always a leasing office and high rises, well, not always, but most of the high rises are large complexes have leasing offices as part of the residential, and it's a part of the operation as a cost, and it's not leased out. So we disallow that. We use same cap rate as the assessor. We have a non-recoverable expense, which is another difference. That's usually a fairly small difference. So the main difference is the leasing office. We don't allow that as a rental area. Now we're going through the financials. Trying to see what their rent roll is. I don't know if we have it there. The part of the rent roll starts up. Oh, I guess we didn't number the pages, but it says master rent roll. They have downtown holiday foods. They don't have a 1488 square feet for their office. They have Amaranti and Maria and downtown holiday foods, and they don't have their own leasing office, so that's not part of their rent roll. That's my submission.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, questions of the applicant?
No questions.
Ms. Knight?
Just to be clarified, the dispute is mostly not including the 1,488 square feet on the calculation of the rental income on the office property, correct?
That's correct, because our rents are actually higher and offsets on non-recoverable expense.
Right.
So it comes down
Okay.
really to the square footage of the leasing
Okay.
office.
I just wanted to summarize in my head. That was all. Thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you. Marcel, these leasing offices, are they for both towers?
I believe so. There was no leasing office in the previous one, 160.
So,
No,
because the other one doesn't have a leasing
Yeah.
office. then.
that's right. 170 did not have leasing office. It would be for
So-
both.
So their business is using this space on behalf of the other one as well.
Yeah, and it's part of the operation.
But it is a leasable space.
No, it's not.
Why is it not?
All offices that don't have commercial, they're never assessed by the assessor as commercial. They can't be rented out. They're needed for the operation. We actually went to municipal board in 2020, where the assessor was arguing that mainly for owner occupied properties that the leasing cost should be disallowed as it should be part of the management. And the municipal board agreed with me that the leasing costs, usually the salaries, and that is part of the necessary expenses to run an apartment. So it's not leasable.
And so those costs that you're incurring here should be spread between the two buildings, not put all on one.
No, I believe the leasing fee, whatever, is property allocated. The cost to run the office. It's probably not much. I mean, they probably not allowing that, so they whatever adjustment is required there would be very minor, if any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DuPont, I note that expenses are, your expense ratio is 60%. And it's substantially higher than the city. And I'm just going back to the other properties, and you know, like you take Hargrave Street that it's got, you know, around the same number of units, and their expenses are like 56%. So how do you, I guess, how do you account for the higher expense ratio for this property?
We go site specific over every property. We show an expense ratio, and we never stabilize based on expense ratios of other properties. Some are higher or some are lower, and it's all site specific. So I don't feel that we need to reconcile with other properties operating at different expense ratios. I'm not sure there's some that we present to the board at 50% expense ratio or even 45%. We'll go lower than averages, mainly because we're going site specific in all cases.
Great. Either party wants summation? Mr. Wong, Mr. DuPont?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. I think we'll probably do one more property and then we'll have a little break. So we'll go to 233 Kennedy Street. So Mr. Wong, whenever you're ready.
Henry, did you want to speak on this?
Yeah, we're just asking for 51 that to be confirmed because the assessor's coming out with the supplement on this. So therefore, we just want to take it upstairs to the municipal board.
Is everybody okay? Do you want a little break or not?
I'm okay to continue.
Okay.
I'm
Mr.
good.
Wong? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay, let's go to 134 Smith Street. So Mr. Wong, whenever you're ready. And just give Diane a minute.
Yeah, just give me a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
I had the other one set up.
All right.
What is this one?
134 Smith Street.
Yeah, it's just opening. Okay,
All right, Mr. Wong.
The subject property is 134 Smith. The roll number is 120-932-76100. For this property, we're asking that the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation of non-cooperation as per section 553. And if a reduction in assessment is ordered, that it follows section 54 of the Municipal Assessment Act.
Okay.
We had basically requested information from the property owner. If you go to my page 2, we had requested information from the property owner, and They have been compliant previously, but in 2000 and for 2019 and 2020 information requests, we didn't receive a response. On page 13 is the certified letter that we sent the property owner.
And no response?
And we didn't get a response. So we're seeking non-cooperation for this particular property.
Mr. DuPont, information?
Actually, I never checked that, so I don't know. So where did you send this request? Or where's your proof?
On page 13.
Mr. DuPont, you are unaware of this?
No, I was not. I should have looked at it more closely. So I don't know enough about it, so I can't dispute it. So I will agree that the burden proof.
All right, we
No,
are
no.
going to, I think maybe what we can probably do is, Ms. Knight, do you have any questions in this respect? Because we're gonna shut down the camera and have a meeting.
He's already agreed to it.
Yes, I know.
Oh, I have some questions, but I'll ask off camera because I.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So I think we'll shut this down for like probably 5 minutes or 10 at the most. And we'll come back. All right. We'll call the meeting back to order. And we're going to go 134 Smith Street. And in regards to the non-co-op, it will be granted to the city. So, Mr. DuPont, you will be presenting first. And whenever you're ready.
Mr. DuPont, you're muted.
You're muted, I hear you.
I'm asking for 54-1 to have it confirmed.
Panel members, any questions at all? Nope. Okay. Then we'll go to 160 Smith Street. Mr. Wong, the floor is yours, sir. Wait for Diane.
Does that mean you're ready, Diane?
No, not yet.
It's downloading.
That one, I got that one done while we were on break.
All
Yeah.
right, Mr. Wong. 160 Smith Street. Whenever you're ready.
The subject property is 160 Smith Street. The roll number is 120-932-780-00. It's a residential apartment multi-use. It's 20 stories high, and it was built in 1972 to 2012, and we have an effective year built of 2000 to 2012. Experienced a full gutting and a renovation. It has 185 suites with 190 indoor parking stalls and 61 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. On page 4 are some pictures of the inside of the property. On page 5 is our income valuation summary for the apartment. We use rents of $1,307 to get a potential income of $290 $2,903,000. We used a 4.7% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $2,766,000. And we used a 41% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $1,546,000. Capped at 5.15%, we have an estimated market value of $30 million for $25,000 for the apartment, $741,000 for the office, $837,000 for the parking structure, and $4,091,000 for the restaurant. On page 6 is information on the number of suites and the rents, as well as the leasable areas and the number of parking stalls. On page 7 are comparable rents, showing that the rents we've used are in line with what's in the market for newer apartment buildings. On page 8 are some comparable leases. The restaurant leases range from $20 to $40, and the office leases range from $16 to $19. It supports the office rates that we've used. The office rates are about $17 and the restaurant rate is about $25. So the market supports the rates that have been applied by the model. On page 9 are some comparable rates for parking structures. On page 10 is information on how we derived our cap rates. And on page 11 are some cap rate sales. On page 12 and 13 is some cap rate, is some Altus cap rate information. On page 15 is income statement supplied by the owner. 15 to 21 are the income statements. On page 22 are some as a lease ad for the office space, and in 2013 they had a net rate of $20. And on page 23, they had a net rate of $16, which is in line with what the model is estimated. And on page 25, it's the board decision from the previous cycle at $34,249,000. It's in line with what the current assessment is at $35,694,000. So the model rents and the model cap rates are supported by the market. So I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $35,694,000.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Mr. Dupont, questions?
Yes, so the restaurant, you applied a rent of $25.01, and that's not the contract. The contract is lower rents, or you disregarded the contract, is that correct?
Yes, the contract rents are, I guess, an arrangement that the current tenant has with the owner, but the contract rents are well below market. I think it might be like $4 or $5 or something net for a high-end steakhouse. It's not comparable, so we look to the market to get a rate.
So your comparables are on page 8. So you have first one, 1017 St. James, $26. That's in St. James area. That's not downtown. Can you tell us which tenant that is?
can't say which tenant it is, but these tenants are, I guess, basically higher end restaurants in the city. Like, I guess, nicer restaurants, I would say.
You have 191 Main at $39, and that's a very high rent. Can you tell us something about that one?
Just that it's a higher end restaurant, not your typical restaurant.
And 260 Hargrave would be the closest one to the subject, and that's at $20. So would you agree that's a better comparable?
It is a comparable, and so are the others.
Do you know what kind of restaurant there is at 260 Hargrave?
I do not.
And the other one, 1485 Portage, that's far down St. James also. Can you tell us anything about that
Probably.
particular restaurant?
The location is different, but it is a higher end restaurant. It is a nicer restaurant, which is what the subject property is.
Now the parking, how many stalls are you showing for parking?
61.
And is that
6.
page 6, parking? And you apply net rent of $80 per stall. Where'd you get that count? Is that in the financials that you have there?
I don't know. I'm assuming it was. I believe it would have been via an inspection or talking with the manager.
And that's commercial parking. That's correct. That's not residential parking.
Yes.
And you have comparables or data for the $80 that you have for the parking?
On page 9.
Okay, so from 120 high, 135 high down to $43 low, so there's big variation there.
Yes.
That's all questions I have.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Rondo?
No questions.
I see Mr. Wong on your page. I guess it's page 25. I think this is yours.
Yeah.
Did you put in the boards for the original order?
That was the previous order. Yes.
I'm sorry?
The previous order, 2020.
Is that in your brief?
Yes.
Why was that put in?
Just to show that the current assessed value is in line with what it was previously was.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. DuPont, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, so page 1 shows that we dispute the residential from 30 million to 24.5 million. And the commercial, 5.6 million, we dispute that to 4.5 million. We showed a photo. And then we can skip a few pages and go to our page 8, a cap rate. So the city 5.15, I believe, if I'm correct. You gotta check these things because sometimes we have typos. You're 5.5, Kim, is that correct?
5.15.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got the wrong property.
160 Smith.
Yeah, I had 134 Smith. Okay, so the our cap rate study would show that this property would be 5.25 cap rate. Assessor's at 5.15. So we're not adding a premiums under factors. We show that parking is sufficient for a subject. It's mainly 1-bedroom suites, so the suite mix is not that great, but we did not allow a premium for that. It's got 145 1-bedroom and 42 bedroom. So we're going strictly with our cap rate analysis. So that means we'll probably have to go to our cap rate report next. The next page is the revenue and expense that we have on this. So if you open that up, our line 13, we stabilized at 2.9 million and the assessor is at 2.7 million. So we're higher rent than the assessor. Line 3 shows that they're getting 1382 rent per suite per month, which quite high rents. The vacancy that has is very high also, 17.3. The 3-year average is 11.3. We stabilized at 3-year average, so we're stabilizing 2.9 million, and the actual for 2020 was 2.7 million, almost the same as the assessor. So we're being quite conservative on the effective gross income. The expenses, on line 31, we have $1.6 million in expenses versus the assessor 1.2. The assessor's expense ratio is very low at 44%. The assessor's model expense ratio, and ours is site specific at 56%. And we stabilize each item very normal. Insurance, utilities, and actual, some at averages, and the repair minutes 1273 per suite, which is relatively low side. The next page shows the repair maintenance. We disallowed external repairs on top there. We disallowed the waste and snow. We show that separate one. We use 5-year average for everything else. So the site specific 1273 per square foot. And we're saying starting 2018, the commercial and residential have separate statements. So on back to page 9. So when we apply a cap rate to 5.25 instead of 5.15, we get a value of 2,504,000. Cap rate is only a small part of that. It's mainly in the expenses because our effective gross income is higher than the assessor. Commercials, the next page. So the actual rent is $403 per square foot. So we have to go get the market rent. And on top says the office. We don't dispute the office. So we're disputing the restaurant. So we got comparables of some restaurants. So on Smith, effective age 2005, rent 18, and Donald 16. Porter's Avenue 1450 and the St. Mary's 1985. The average 1709. We use $20 a square foot. And we also apply non-recoverable expense. So the income approach is shown on the next page. So we apply $20 rent, non-recoverable expense. We use the same cap rate as the assessor. So we come to value 2,115,000. Parking. We use the actual parking income in the financial statements. And was 45,000. We apply cap rate of 7%. And we can maybe go to the financial statements. These chart on page 1 of 19. It shows parking income 45,000 for the commercial. And the residential, it showed at 295,000. We had that in the financial statements. Then they have some free rent that they have in the parking, so they they give some free rent on commercial, probably for people that use the restaurant. So the 45,000 is the full rent that they're charging for commercial. Now they should normally be expenses, 35 to 40%. We're not allowing for that, so we're just going with gross rent, and that's what we're using. So based on the actuals, they're making a lot less than we actually declared because it would be expensive. So again, I believe we're being fairly conservative there. So then we have the summary where we have the total values. So we the commercial, we disagree on the rent on the restaurant and the income on the parking, and the residential a bit on the cap rate, but mainly on the expenses. That's my submission. Oh, cap rate, I should give my cap rate report.
Mr. Wong, questions?
On your page 9.
I still want to present my cap rate report.
Oh, sorry.
Is that okay with the board?
Yeah.
So it's a separate report. We page 2, we have the market reports from the brokers and Colliers. It shows a 2018 versus 2021. So Colliers low rise 5 to 6. Previous assessment, the same thing for this one. So they have no change. CBRE low rise A 5.5 to 6 last time. They're 5.25, 5.75. So they went a quarter lower. Low rise B 5.75 to 6 last time, and now it's 5.5 to 6. So the top end is the same. Low end went down a quarter. Cushman says no change. There were 5 to 5.75 for low rise, and high rise 5 to 6 unchanged. Then a CBRE high rise B, they had 5 to 5.75, then 5 to 5.75. So the high end stayed the same. Low end stayed the same, and the high end went down a quarter. And Cushman, they went down a 0.25%. Now we have some statistics of the market, etc. Now, the previous cycle, we show what we settled at. So what the session had for good location, what we had at our revision of what we finally settled at. So these are the cap rates we agreed to for last cycle. So the last one, 1999 plus, the assessor was fairly low, 4.2 to 5. And the 4.2 and the 4.6 they have were all for small suites. When they came to the municipal board, they agreed to 5.25 and no premium for small suites. So that was a big change from the settlement. At 46.59, we settled 5.75. The assessor was 4.6 to 5.3. That's similar rate for the other types. We settle 5.5, 5.5, and then high rise 80 to 98, we settle 5.25. So then next page, we have some comparables. We have 4 comparables. We'll show those cap rates. 6.85, 5.7, 5.6, 5.36. We'll show the age, year built, etc. We have the full income approach following. So our cap rate summary that we have on page 7 is what we show in our reports. From the broker's report and our cap rate studies. That's what we allow. Then we have site-specific factors we show here, which we show for each one. So on this particular property, we're not allowing for site-specific factors. Then we appendix A, we show some city cap rate samples. And the city cap rates are pretty much all over the place. There's some low cap rates, some high. And so it's difficult to find out how they did things. I believe, again, the small properties are getting higher cap rate. If you look at bottom page 8, that's the last 4 or 5. So the fourth last is the city cap rate. So a 75 suite 5.75, 18 suite 5.15, 7 suite back up to 5.65, 41 suite 5.9. And then the next page, maybe if you go to page 10, these are new properties. Sort of fourth last, you'll see they have some 5.15, 4.85. 5.2 is on a high. One large one, 252 suites, 5.15. The other one, 298 suites, 4.95. And the last time around, number 5, and we settled that was 5.25. So that's my cap rate report. That's my total submission.
Wong, questions?
No questions.
Mr. Wong?
No questions.
No. Estate?
No questions.
Mr. Rondo?
No questions.
None? Okay. Summation.
Oh, sorry, I guess I didn't have any questions regarding the cap rate.
Yeah.
I just had a question regarding the
Yeah.
report
All right, ask.
for 160 Smith. If you go to your page 9,
Yes.
So the vacancy was 6.6% for 2018 and 10% for 2019 and 17% for 2020. And you stabilized at 11.3%.
That's correct. Yeah.
I mean, with I guess vacancy rates so different from market, could an appraiser use a market vacancy rate in this case?
I would say no. We should always have an eye on site specific. So this property has high rents, $13.82 per suite, and the market is pushing back so that they're saying your rents are too high, and then when they're competing with other properties and newer properties, etc. So market's peaking in relation to the rents that they're offering. So we have to go site specific for sure on something like this.
Okay.
And we're going average. We're going a lot less than actual 2020.
I haven't. I guess I've seen some appraisals, and I guess I've never seen any appraisals that use, I guess, a vacancy this high. Have you seen appraisals that use a vacancy this high?
I don't know. I don't rely on appraisals. What I would rely upon is that when we go to municipal board and we have municipal board decisions ruling in particular vacancies and or settlement. In the last few years, we haven't had any arguments on the vacancy in the municipal board. We believe there was never an issue, so we've settled all vacancies probably from going back to 2012 to 2020 at the municipal board. So I would say that we go site specific whenever we're at the municipal board. And 11.3 is extremely reasonable in this particular case when it's actually higher.
That's all my questions.
Thank you. Tonight, questions of Mr. Dupont?
I do not have any questions.
Mr. Orondo?
Very good. You can close that then. The restaurant, you're saying that the rent was 4 and change. What did you put it at?
$20.
You put it at 20. Okay.
And the assessor at 25 something.
25, yeah. Okay, I'm done.
And
Mr. Wong, summation?
I guess one more thing. I submitted a rebuttal for the Altus cap rate.
All right. I'll see if our secretary has that.
Yes, I do. I'll jump it in right now. In your
Can you-
folder.
Can you email that to me?
Yep, I'm doing that right now.
Is it on our file now?
It is in yours and it will be in OneDrive in just a second. Okay, and Diane, if you refresh your SharePoint, it should be in there.
Where does it show up on ours?
It's
And what's the
Exactly.
title?
It's the hearing date and it says A&T rebuttal.
Oh, I see. AT rebuttal. Yeah,
You got it?
yeah. It's right under the municipal act. Great.
Yeah.
It's just opening now. Okay, I'm open.
All right. Mr. Wong?
Yeah, if you look at the first page, for 531 for 535 Victor, it looks like it's post reference, but Altus is indicating that the sale happened, the agreement happened before that date. So you can take it how you will, but Altus had indicated a cap rate of 6.85%, and we calculated a cap rate of 3.19%. And that's, if you go to page 3, you can see how the cap rate was calculated. The Altus had used a pro forma to calculate their cap rate. And so those are pretty much just estimates as to what the income and expenses were. And from a realtor trying to sell the property, on page 3 is the actual income and expenses for the property. And that's how we came up with the 3.19%. Whereas say Altus is indicating 6.85. But if you go back to my page 1, For 535 Corden, we calculated very similar cap rates. And for 1139 Grant, Altus had calculated a 5.5% cap rate, and we stabilized at a 4.46 cap rate. And for 677 Maryland, it was pretty similar, like what we calculated and what Altus had calculated. And for 32 Arden, Altus had calculated 5.42%, and we calculated 5.05%. So yeah, on page 1, it's just summarized that the cap rates that Altus had presented, we calculated something less than what Altus did, and that's my rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Mr. DuPont, questions?
Yes, we'll have to rotate the pages. Okay, so Yale Street we don't use now, and 1139 Grant we don't use anymore. So you agree with that? First page. So you're not rebutting there because we didn't use those. That was from a past rebuttal.
Somebody had said that we're using the same thing from the August 15th hearing, and that's what we had.
Okay, but you would agree that we're not using those, so that we should ignore the rebuttal on Yale and 1139 Grant.
You could.
Okay, so then the first one you have is Victor. Rotate. So the second last column is what you stabilized at, is that correct?
Yes.
And there you stabilized vacancy at 29.35% vacancy. And you're questioning me on the vacancy using 11%, and you use 29. So would you not say that there's extremely high vacancy in your stabilization?
I'm not sure about that vacancy, but if you look at their income for the 3 years listed, it's pretty. Let's see.
We're all doing this.
Yeah, it's.
I know. We are living the table.
And so you're saying it's actual. Where is that the questionnaires for that? You don't provide those?
It's on page 4.
Oh, it's the yeah, it's done electronically.
Yeah, they filled it in online.
Vacancy bottom right says vacancy 0, bad debt 0. So where do you see the vacancy? It says actual received 95,000 on top left.
I mean, there's a little bit of an explanation at the bottom of the spreadsheet on page 3.
Nevertheless, your vacancy is extremely high. Would you not agree for stabilization?
Like that might be just a pie in the sky number, but in terms of what they actually took in for the previous 3 years, that's what they took in.
Have you seen any appraisal ever use 29% vacancy?
No.
Now we stabilize repair and maintenance at 14,000, which is 1,000 per suite. New stabilize at 23,000. Repair and maintenance, 1,700 per suite. Would you agree that's quite high for a property like this?
1,700.
Yes.
I think it's definitely within the range. Normally, it might range from like 500 to maybe a couple thousand, but yeah.
Would you not say that they were doing some renovations and those high repair and maintenance?
I think it's within the norm. It's hard for me to say anything about that.
Um, 32 Arden is your page 11. So now you actual stabilize. You say 2%. What does that mean when you stabilize potential gross rent 2%?
Sorry, I don't know how to rotate in Word, so I'm looking at this sideways. Sorry, you were saying about the gross rent?
You show 2%. Then so that I don't know what that means. So you're just showing what the CMHC was for 2018.
I'm actually not sure what that 2% means, but it does say CMHC October 2018.
Okay, so you stabilize at 250,000, which is higher than actual 249,000. Do you agree you're higher than actual there?
It looks like it, yes. There in 2018, the actual was 250,000, so it seems pretty close.
Professional fees, it was 2,500 one year, 4,000, then 1,000. So would you agree that the 4,000 on the high side, potentially we should not be using the 3-year average?
Professional fees?
Yes.
It seems to range from, it's 1,000, 2,500, and 4,000. And average seems reasonable.
Well, just hit your, on the right-hand side, it'll give you a thing and you can rotate it. Your mouse,
What?
hit your mouse on the right-hand side, click it once on the screen, and
Okay.
you'll go down and it'll say rotate, and you can rotate it once. Just make it easier for you.
I cannot find it. I'm trying to Google it right now.
Did you click on the actual page?
Yeah, I did.
And what comes up with when you right click it?
He's in Word.
Oh, he's in Word.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it an image that you have?
It's a Word. I'm actually looking at a Word document, but the thing
Yeah.
is, yeah.
So on in your Word document, is it an image?
Yeah.
Text. Okay, so click on the image.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a menu at the top of the window that says picture tools. You should be able to rotate in there. It'll tell you clockwise or 90 degrees in the top ribbon.
Sorry, the top ribbon.
Yeah, so after you select your image,
Yep.
you'll get a menu at the top.
And you right click on it. Oh, yeah.
And they'll say rotate near the right.
You know, yeah, I'm just going to.
It actually won't even say anything, like,
Just gonna physically rotate it.
yeah, you can do that too.
And unfortunately, it gets cut off now. Oh, boy. I'm sorry.
Then your computer sideways. Yes.
Okay, so after you rotate it, at the top where it says layout,
Yeah.
go to size. And then just make your page bigger. Legal or tabloid are good sizes.
Oh, wait, I see something. I see something. No. Not working. I'm sorry. I'll have to.
Okay, turn your computer sideways. Use it like a book.
Uh, one more.
It's gonna do it. Oh, God. Get a swivel. Did that work? Swivel the computer? Probably not.
I'm trying to. My mouse is operating sideways. Okay, I think I got something. Okay, I am looking at it kind of properly. The 2018 income is approximately 240,000. The stabilized at 250,000. The professional fees, it ranges from 1,000 to 4,000. I mean, I can see using the average and coming in at 2,500. That seems reasonable to me. And I'm not sure where we left off at.
Okay, so the remarks at the bottom of that spreadsheet. So there's a difference between city and Altus is EGI.
Yeah.
And you see Altus double counts a non-unit revenue.
Excuse me.
And I believe non-unit revenue, you mean parking and other income.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And then the next page, you say 21,295, but then you say we double counted the laundry and parking. Now you don't show the rent roll, and we showed a rent roll in our submission, and the actual rents do come to 21295, which is page 65 or my brief, and it's adding up all the rents, and none of those income items indicate it's parking and other income or laundry. Where do you get the idea that we double counted that?
I do not know that. But looking at the stabilization sheet that that is presented on page 12, like I said, their income in 2018 is 250,000, and we've stabilized at 250,000. So I think the effective gross income that we use to stabilize is close.
Yeah, and we're using the December 2018 rent roll. And you say we made a mistake. So can you go to page 65 of my cap rate study? And that's the rent roll that apparently you take exception to. And those, they have the names of each of the tenants. I don't know if everybody is there on page 65 on my cap rate study. Do you see that, Kim? Or you got it yet?
I'm just reopening mine.
Oh, okay.
Page 65.
Yes.
And I'm looking at the administration expense.
No, that's the rent roll. It should be receivables by summary by tenant.
Page 65 of your cap rate.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the Elliott Investments income statement for the months ending in 2016 for 1139 grant.
Same here. That's where you told us to go.
Oh, there must be an old cap rate.
Mine's still not open.
We don't show 1139 grant as comparable anymore.
Well, that's the page you just sent us to.
Yeah, I thought we were going to use the same one as we used in a previous hearing, but I guess apparently not. You might be looking at a different one, I guess.
Is it an apartment cap rate study you're looking at, Henry?
Yes.
Okay, I had emailed you about that this morning
Yes. You did.
because we didn't actually get a new one.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's right. And Jared said to use the same one he presented today.
Yeah, so I thought it would apply to your properties as well.
Maybe it's a little bit different, yeah.
That's where the difference is. And I thought I was just confused.
No, I was confused too.
So we have different ones. So you have the one that Jared had sent and send that to everybody
Yes,
today.
That's the one we're using.
It says hearing date August 16th, 2022.
Oh, so it's an old report. Okay.
there's an
Sorry.
older one, yeah.
Can you send me that one? Then maybe I can find the rent roll for 32 Arden. It would be a different page.
Yeah.
Mine's still opening.
Oh,
It's because it's so big, I think. Okay, now I'm open.
Okay, I'm sending it again, Henry.
okay. I see it. Okay, I got it. Page 87. So everybody got page 87 now?
Yeah, we just
Right.
gotta flip it.
So that's the rent roll as of 2018, and you had each of the tenant names comes to 21,296, and that's what we multiply by 12. There's no parking in there. And there's no laundry in there. Should we agree that we're not double counting because it's not double counted?
Well, it's just it's just, we were looking for a reason why the effective gross income was so much higher than, what it actually was. And so maybe it was just an assumption, but with regards to what we stabilized at, the stabilized income is what it was for 2018. So even whether we misspoke or not with regards to the double counting, maybe that's not as relevant as we actually used what their income was.
And on your page, rebuttal page 12, you said December 18, 2018 income and expense mailer, current month, 20,976. And that rent roll indicates 21,295. So that you're starting off that you're in error and it's not us, it's an error. Just we'll give rebuttal to each other's cap rates as we go along, and then we remove some cap rates or we make changes. So I just want to make sure that going forward that you don't come up with this kind of rebuttal because it does not appear to be accurate.
Well, I mean, if you look at the 2018 income, it's $249,000. We stabilized at $250,000.
That's the actual, but the rent at the end of the year is higher. So somebody buying at that time would be using a higher rent.
Well, but but look at 2018, it's 249,000. It's almost identical to what we stabilized at 250,000.
December 2018 rents were higher than the whole year than the past. So somebody buying a property would say current rents are. So it makes sense for us to use the December 2018 rents. And then you made an error in your rebuttal saying we double counted and we did not. And it appears that you undercounted by saying December 2018 income is 20,976.
Gentlemen, you could probably argue a few more hours, but we're going to have to press forward. So, Mr. DuPont, if you have any more questions, may I ask them?
Juan was at, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I was questioning him. Yeah, I guess that's all the questions I have.
Diane, questions in regards to his rebuttal?
No,
Mr. LaRondo?
definitely not.
Okay. Mr. Wong, summary? If you wish.
No, thank you.
Mr. DuPont?
No.
All right. I think, Mr. DuPont, that concludes your part. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you for your presentations and results very soon. And have a pleasant day.
Did we do all the properties now?
You are done.
You are
I
done.
did, yes.
Oh,
Mr. Story's next.
okay. Well, have a good day then.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, great. Goodbye.
Thank you. Madam Secretary.
Yep, our
Take
other
him out of the
applicant
box.
is in. Do you want to continue? Or would you like to take a recess?
Huh?
Would you like to continue? Or would you like to
Oh,
take
yeah.
a recess?
No, we'll continue.
Okay.
We only have the one.
Okay, so our next applicant is in. Hello,
Okay.
Mr. Story, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Ah. Wonderful. Hello, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Story. We'll have you affirmed or sworn in, and then we'll go to your property that you're representing.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay.
Please state your full name.
Jared Story.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Story, for your patience, and we'll try to speed things along here. So we'll go to 415 Logan Avenue. Mr. Wong, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just cleaning something up here. The subject property is 415 Logan. The roll number is 130-817-85000. It's a residential apartment multi-use property. It's 3 stories high and is built in 2007. There's 20 suites with 6 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. On page 4 is our income valuation summary. We have 21 bedrooms. They're, I guess, not your typical 1 bedrooms in the sense that it is there is a separate sleeping area, but it's separated by a half wall. But we classify it as a 1 bedroom. And the average rent that we use is $768 to get a potential income of $184,000. We use a 3.2% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $178,000. And we used a 49% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $90,000. Kept at 4.75%, we have an estimated market value of $1,903,000. On page 4 is information on the suites and the lease area. There's 20 suites with the rents being $768, and for the lease area, there's 1,224 square feet at $1,691. On page 4 or 6, sorry, are our rent comparables showing that the rents we've used are in line or with what's in the market. Maybe a little bit lower. On the bottom of page 6 are some expense comparables. Like this property is not a market apartment building. It's a transition center. So when we look at, we're going to look to the market for some expense comparables. The comparables shown range from 49% to 56%, and it supports what the model is assigned at 49%. On page 7 are some rent comparables showing that the rents we've used are in line with what's on the market for comparable leases. On page 8 is information on how we derived our cap rates. And on page 9 are some cap rate sales. Page 10 is some Altus cap rate information. On page 12 are the CMHC market rents for zone 2. The one bedroom market rent is $975. This supports the rent that the model has applied at $768. So given this property is not a market apartment building, we will look to the market for valuation purposes. And when we do look to the market, the rents and the expenses and cap rate are supported by the market. So I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $2,138,000.
I thank you, sir. Story, questions of the assessor.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I have a few. And some of the questions that my colleague, Mr. Dupont asked, I will ask, continue to be sort of carry forward to this file in the sake of expediency, but I'll limit my questions to site-specific issues. So, Mr. Wong, have you visited this property?
Yes.
You have visited this property?
Yes.
Okay. So then you are aware, you had mentioned that the suites are about 450 square feet. Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay, but you were in the suites. Did they not
was.
strike you as, and they're,
I didn't measure it.
well, okay, you didn't measure it, but you can certainly tell that it's not, let's go to your, very quickly, I'm going to flip around here, but on page 6 of your brief, you're suggesting that the average floor area per suite is 732 square feet. Now, I'm not asking if you measured it, but you could certainly tell the difference between a 730 square foot unit and a 450 square foot unit, could you not?
I can clarify the 732. It's not, I guess, it's not an exact measurement of the size of each unit. It's just taking the gross floor area of the building divided by the number of units. So it includes any sort of common hallways or anything like that. And with regards to the gross floor area per unit for the comparables, it's the same thing. So that's what that number represents.
Okay, so it's essentially meaningless then if it's overshooting the floor area by that degree. Is that fair to say?
Well, I think it's just allows you to sort of look at the comparable properties to try to get a frame of reference.
Okay, and I think you said, did you, when you visited this property, was this before or after this assessment was created for this cycle?
It was many years ago. It was
Many
actually,
years ago.
I think I added them to the roll.
Okay, and so the suites, these 450 square foot transitional housing suites have what we'll call a pony wall. It's about 3.5 feet tall, and that's what partitions off the mattress area versus the sitting area. Is that fair?
That's fair.
And you consider that a 1-bedroom as opposed to a bachelor?
Yes.
Okay, does the market consider that a bachelor, or would the market consider that a 1-bedroom?
I'm not sure what the market would consider it, but like when I look at it, it looks like a 1-bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Does
like
it?
if you look at the definition of a studio, it's just sort of the sleeping area and the eating area is in the same room. But if there's a partition wall, then I guess I look at it as a 1-bedroom.
Okay, but just to be clear, it's not a wall. It's more of it's like a ledge. So
It's a half wall.
It's right. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Now the difference between a bachelor and a 1-bedroom, does that affect the output of the model?
Yes.
Okay, and all of these inputs, or all of these the inputs that are used to make this value are model derived. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything to support your vacancy of 3.2%?
Not in here, but it does
Okay.
appear to be in line from what I've seen with regards to other vacancy rates.
Okay, but to be very clear, there's no submission to support that.
No. No.
Okay. And I think I heard you say that the expense ratio, you look to other properties, but did you consider the actual submission of the owner to develop an expense ratio on a site-specific basis?
No, the property is not a market apartment building, so I don't believe that using the income or the expenses from a nonprofit is accurate in getting a market value.
May I ask why you wouldn't use the expenses?
Well, do the nonprofit, I feel that nonprofit operations, they operate differently than a for-profit apartment, so that's why.
So, okay, disagree on that. Now, the cap rate that the model applied is 4.75%,
Yes.
correct? And that's substantially below what the brokers are suggesting, and it's actually substantial. Well, it's just below the 20th percentile of what you're suggesting in the city's modeled output. Is that correct?
It is below the 20th percentile, yes.
Okay, and just to be clear, locationally, this property is in the Logan CPR neighborhood. Would that not be generally considered an inferior location for an asset such as this?
It is not the best location, no.
Okay, and then the estimated market value per suite, when I add back that place of worship space, the overall assessment, that comes to almost $170,000. $107,000 a door. Does that not strike you as particularly high for 450-foot suites and transitional housing in Logan CPR?
Sorry, like on the bottom of my page 4.
Yeah.
It indicates 95,000 per door. Is that not
right?
correct?
Yeah, but but you've taken out what you're calling retail.
Yeah.
Right? And that's actually that's place of worship. That's why it's exempted.
Yeah.
Right. So when we take the overall asset value and we divide that by the 20 suites, we come to 107,000 per door. That place of worship meeting space is not leasable as a retail income stream. It's separated out in order to exempt it. But in terms of the overall net value of the asset, when we add that back in, divided by 20, we come to 106,900 per door. Does that not strike you as high?
It could be high, but it could also be reasonable if you look at it as a 1-bedroom that was built in 2007. That's, I guess, all I'll say about that.
Okay. Going to your page 8, just very quickly, I think the board has heard both of our submissions on cap rates, but can we just finally, can we agree that most of the cap rates being shown by the brokers would indicate this to be somewhere between 5.25 and 6%, as per your submission on page 8?
Those are what they've indicated.
Okay. All right, and I think we've heard about the cap rate table, so I will let that be. The national cap rates, clearly, just, I don't know if this came up, but in the national cap rates, you're not suggesting that we ought to include this information, as it does include cap rates from markets like Toronto and Vancouver. You're aware of that? That would be distortive, wouldn't it?
Well, when you compare it to the Winnipeg cap rate, it seems to, the national cap rate encompasses more than just Toronto and Vancouver. It encompasses other cities in the country as well. And so, but when you look at it from an overall standpoint, it seems to be similar to what the Winnipeg market is. So the Winnipeg market, it seems to be 4.5% in 2007, and the national rate is 4.5 in 2017. So I feel that the national chart does indicate something that Winnipeg might be similar to.
And the cap rates in Vancouver and Toronto around this time are somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.75 and 3. Is that, you aware of that? Is that correct? From your understanding? Sure. Okay, and page 11, that chart ends at 2017. That's from a real estate forum. Now, are you aware of the inputs that were used to create this chart? Did you attend this forum, I guess, firstly?
No.
Okay, and so in terms of the context, are you aware that this data set included properties that were purchased for the intention to renovate? Are you aware of that?
I'm not really too sure, but this is what they've indicated that the cap rate to be. And so I'm not sure why this cap rate is so different than what the cap rate that you're presenting today.
Okay.
But
Can we agree, though, that when properties are purchased with the intention to renovate, typically the cap rates are depressed because they represent an economic opportunity. People buy them, raise the rents, and that's why the cap rates are depressed. And that's why we're not, we've been told by the municipal board, we're not to include them in our submissions for the purpose of creating a cap rate study. Can you agree with me on that?
I'm just going to say that I've seen cap rates where people that were intended to renovate, and they use those cap rates for appraisals and for valuation purposes. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Ms. Knight, questions of the assessor?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Laurando?
I keep falling back on this concept of calling it a one bedroom. Because it's got a 42-inch high wall between where the bed is, you're calling that a wall and you're calling that a bedroom?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a picture of it, but I guess in the applicant's evidence does have a picture of it. And typically, I guess when I look at it, like I've been in a studio before, and you kind of walk in and that's it. But in this particular case, there is a sectioned off area, which is, aside from it not having a door, it seems like for me, it's a bedroom.
Have you seen a studio that they got the folding wall that pulls back out again? It closes off more than this and they call that a studio.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
This doesn't even close off.
No.
I hate to get argumentative, but.
No. I understand where you're coming from. It's just that like from the studios that I've seen, like I've been in a studio, it's like you walk in and everything's right there. But in this particular case, when you walk in, you see a separate living area and you see a separate sleeping area. Like I said, and with regards to it being like 450 square feet, I'm pretty sure, like from the bachelors that I've seen, they're smaller than that. So that's kind of the way that I look at it.
Yeah, and you just said it. You see the bedroom.
You see over the wall.
You walk up, you see the bed.
Well, the thing is, I think when you walk in, you might not be able to see the bed because it's blocked off. You can. There's a picture of it in the. Unfortunately, I don't have one, but there is a picture of it in the applicant's information.
Okay, I won't go any further with that.
Yeah. I guess we're.
You and I would agree to disagree on your qualifications calling this thing a one bedroom.
Well, yeah. If I had a clear cut definition, I would sort of go to it and use it. But it's just based off of my experience. That's just what I feel.
Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Wong, everything is model driven in this property?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, no overrides at all?
Doesn't appear so, no.
Okay, so the 4.3% cap rate for the subject for the apartments, I guess. You feel like that is applicable to the subject?
I think the area is definitely not the greatest area in the world, but the property, it was built in 2007. And so, I mean, it is in my view, it's a new property. It's a new building. And so it's just not that far off.
All right. Mr. Story, we're ready for your presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So once again, we are on Logan between Ellen and Laura. We're looking at a property that was built in 2007, and it is it's the Anishinaabe Place of Hope, and it houses the first steps to employment project. So it's transitional and supportive housing. The suites are very small. They're 450 square feet. It's run by the Winnipeg Inner City Mission, so it is faith-based, and that is what gives rise to that small exempt portion. Now, we have not appealed the value of the exempt portion, as it's effectively a moot point in terms of its contribution to the tax liability. So we'll focus solely on the class code 20 on the apartments. So again, there are 20 bachelor units. They are indeed bachelor units. Now, I'm not a planning or a person with the city, but my understanding typically has been that a bedroom needs to have 2 points of egress. This has one. This is a pony wall. It's 3.5 feet or so, and it gives the program participant who lives in the suite some space away from the kitchen, but it is certainly a bachelor unit. And again, it is 451 square feet. The site, or the actual site, is I believe the assessor mentioned it's not the greatest area. I will suggest that it is a difficult area for them to run this property. When I spoke with the owner, they had mentioned that the petty theft and vandalism is so bad that their shuttle that they use to go to groceries has been vandalized and parts have been taken off. So it is a challenging space, to be sure, to run an apartment, and that's why we see a very an extreme dearth of market apartments. These are properties that are built typically by policy and not by the market. So that is why we're here. We have a low amount of parking as well. And I have some photos. So starting on page 5, you can see the exterior of the property. It was built in 2007. There's no denying that. And it was built for this specific purpose. That's important. Starting on page 6, you can see the interiors. I was there. This property was rescheduled, and that's why there was some confusion I heard from the previous cap rate study. And don't blame Henry, that was my fault. I sent the old cap rate study, but I was there in advance of that scheduled hearing. Now on page 7, you can see that short pony wall. You can see the area where the mattress is on ground. And again, we are suggesting that this is a bachelor suite. It's not a 1-bedroom. In terms of how we've treated the rents, it is a social supported housing property. We've looked at the market. On page 11, you can see that CMHC suggests that private apartment average ranges by zone and bedroom type is $737. We've used $750, which leads us to a potential market rent of $172.80. In terms of vacancy, it's on page 12. We've looked again to CMHC, and they are suggesting the core area vacancy for bachelor units is 4.4%. That is the figure that we've used in our calculation. Now, in terms of the capitalization rate, 4.75 is extremely low. It's far below what the brokers are suggesting for good quality investment properties ought to be. I note that the city is suggesting that cap rates in the city run somewhere between 3.8 to 7.4 in their valuation guide, but then they're suggesting the 20th and 80th percentile, or 4.8 to 5.6 or so. So the range that we're seeing is sort of all over the place. So we've done our own cap rate study. We've been provided with it. We're suggesting that these newer properties ought to be applied no less than 5.25 at a base level, and that's assuming good quality location, tenant amenities, and other good parking, good suite mix, good suite size. So the properties that we're seeing that are doing well in the market now are based on, again, good quality, good location, good amenities, good parking, good suite mix, good suite size. Suite size has become more important. At the reference date, we're seeing a tenant preference and a shift towards larger suites, and that's undoubtedly due with some regard to the pandemic. And that's all summarized in our cap rate study, so I won't belabor that. But typically, we would apply no less than 5.25%, but we have adjusted upwards. A large part of this adjustment is going to come from the location. I've touched briefly on the reason why it's a difficult property. We're in the CPR Logan area. We're on Logan between Laura and Ellen. We have a poor suite mix. All units are 450 square foot bachelor units. Parking is limited, and the building does not contain any typical amenities. So with all that taken into account, we're suggesting an overall cap rate on the multifamily of 5.75. And I think that might be slightly optimistic, but it is what we've used, and the assessor has rightly pointed out it is a newer building. So 5.75 is a number that we're comfortable with. On my income workup, you see that we've calculated the actual expenses. They are calculated as 94,964. The stabilized R&M per door is $1,008, which is well within range, giving us an overall expense ratio of 55.19%. So with all of those factors taken together, and adding back the exempt portion of $235,000, we come to an estimated value of $1,576,149, which we then round to $1,576,000. So the breakdown again is on page 15. So we're suggesting that the class code 40, which is the exempt, multifamily space, $1,341,000, with that $235,000 for the exempted space, for a total rounded value of $1,576,000. And the balance of my brief is just some information regarding the income and expense that was submitted by the owners. You'll see that they do classify these as bachelor suites. Now they suggest that they have 19, but they're using one suite for their own purposes. So there are indeed 20 suites. And barring any questions, that is my presentation, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Wong, questions?
No questions.
And
I do have a question. On page 7 of your presentation, that door that is
Yes.
sitting there, is that the only entrance door to the suite?
No, I'm sorry, that's a small closet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the door, and it's actually, you know what, it was a little bit difficult to get photos that were, call them panoramic, in a small space like that. So I don't have
Yeah.
a picture of the door, but I do have the, starting on page 6, that's the little kitchenette. Directly to the right of that is the washroom, and then right behind you is that pony wall with a mattress behind it, and then
Okay.
there's a little closet.
And it has a
but it's
closet,
not-
so like
it's
a
not a point
bedroom
of-
would have
of
a
egress.
closet as a, okay. All right, I just wanted to know if that was the entrance that walked through that space. Okay, thank you.
thank you, Marcel.
Okay. Is there one window in the entire apartment then?
Yes,
So there's one window in the apartment. It's not on the bedroom side either, is it?
it's so next to the, no, it's not. Next to the kitchen, there's a little seating area, and there's a window right next to that. That's where the
Okay.
window is.
So it can't be called a bedroom if there's no window in it. The
That's
city
my
has that
that's
right
my
out in their own
understanding.
restrictions. So you can't classify that as a bedroom.
That's my understanding, yes.
So it's a suite.
It's a bachelor suite.
I think you should get that changed at the city, but I'll leave that up to you. Thank you very much. Go to you.
Thank you. Mr. Story, I'm just looking at like your presentation here, and I see there's an adjustment for the exempt portion, okay? But isn't this a little wrong here? For your
Absolutely.
NOI?
Oh,
You know,
sorry,
like, I see what you did, but I just can't,
in terms of the value of the,
yeah,
it's
like,
it's way out of whack. It's like $200 a square foot. It doesn't make sense. The rents are like $17. It doesn't really make sense, but we're not, the tax liability is all, it's in the non-exempt space. So yes, that space is exempt, but if we were to come here and request an adjustment to the exempt space, I suppose it would have no bearing on the liability. But yes, I agree with you. The notion that there's 1,200 square feet that could be leased there on the open market at $17 a square foot is not is a bit it's theoretical. So, but yes, we didn't appeal it. It doesn't have a bearing on the tax liability. But yes, I agree with your comment.
okay. Summation, either party?
I think we've all the questions. have
Mr.
been asked
Wong,
and
Mr.
answered.
Story?
No, I think it's all been said. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your presentation. Results very soon. So that part is done for you. So have a good day.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, we have heard all the scheduled items, so this hearing is officially adjourned.